I think many of us know that gut-wrenching feeling when someone with whom you are deeply connected spiritually suddenly pushes you away or treats you with what seems like disrespect. If you're on the twin flame journey, you've probably experienced this painful dynamic firsthand. Let's talk candidly about one of the most challenging aspects of twin flame relationships: the harshness and seeming disrespect with which they sometimes treat their pursuers. The point is, we're not talking about the typical dramatic relationship. We're talking about a deep soul connection in which one partner, the runner, seems to actively resist magnetic attraction, often in ways that can be deeply hurtful to the other, the pursuer. You may wonder, how can someone who is supposed to be my divine counterpart treat me this way? Or am I making excuses for my bad behavior? In practice, I see this pattern emerge over and over again, but beneath the surface there is much more than meets the eye. The runner's seemingly disrespectful behavior often masks a complex web of fears, overwhelming emotions, and unprocessed trauma that even they may not fully understand. In this reading, we'll delve into the psychology behind this challenging dynamic, explore why runners sometimes lash out or withdraw in ways that seem disrespectful, and most importantly, understand how both twins can move through this phase of their journey with more compassion and wisdom. Whether you're the runner feeling overwhelmed by the intensity of the connection, or the chaser struggling to understand your twin's behavior, you're about to gain some valuable insights that could transform your perspective on this unique spiritual partnership. Well, let's pull back the curtain on this complex dance of twin flame dynamics and discover how to transform pain into growth, confusion into clarity, and seeming disrespect into deeper understanding. You know that moment when someone you love deeply seems to transform into a completely different person, pushing you away with words that cut like knives. It's like watching a beautiful butterfly suddenly withdraw into its cocoon. Except this time, the cocoon is built of fears, doubts, and protective barriers. Let me share something profound about the seemingly disrespectful behavior of twin flame runners. It's rarely about you. Think of it as a primal survival response, like when you accidentally touch something hot and instinctively pull away before your conscious mind processes the danger. That's exactly what happens when runners feel the intensity of the twin flame connection. Their emotional defense system goes into overdrive, triggering what I call the spiritual fight or flight response. As one runner said, "I do this all the time to my pursuer, and I don't even realize I'm doing it." Sometimes we don't understand the dynamics or how things like energetic synchronization work, and it causes a lot of chaos. This stark confession reveals the unconscious nature of their reactions. It is as if they are standing at the edge of the most beautiful ocean they have ever seen, the twin flame connection, but instead of diving in, they are paralyzed by the fear of drowning in its depths. Disrespectful behavior, the harsh words, the ghosting, the emotional distance, is part of their survival tools, their way of creating a safe distance from something that feels overwhelmingly powerful. Think of it this way: when a bright light suddenly shines into a dark room, our first instinct is to squint or look away. The light is not harmful, in fact, it illuminates. But our initial reaction is to shield ourselves from its intensity. Twins experience something similar at the soul level. The connection shines so brightly that it illuminates all their shadows, and that level of exposure can be frightening. I've seen runners struggle with this dynamic. One particularly poignant case was a runner who would literally get sick when her twin flame tried to get too close. Her body manifested her soul's fear response. She was not trying to hurt her twin, but was desperately trying to protect herself from what she perceived as emotional overwhelm. When a runner acts disrespectfully, they are actually showing you how powerful your connection is. Their reaction is proportional to the depth of the bond they are trying to resist. It's like pushing against a strong magnetic force. The more they push, the more energy they need to expend. And sometimes that energy manifests itself in seemingly disrespectful behavior. The key is to recognize this defense mechanism for what it is: a cry for space from someone who is overwhelmed by the magnitude of what they feel. This does not excuse the behavior, but understanding its root can help you respond with compassion instead of reaction, with wisdom instead of hurt. Have you ever stood in front of a mirror and noticed something about yourself that you never saw before? That's exactly what happens in the twin flame dynamic, but at the soul level. The seemingly disrespectful behavior of runners often serves as a powerful spiritual mirror, reflecting our deepest hurts and insecurities back at us with crystal clarity. Think of it this way. Imagine your twin flame as a master artist commissioned by the universe to paint the portrait of your soul. But instead of using flattering filters, he or she is painting with the raw, unedited truth of your inner landscape. Each brushstroke of seemingly disrespectful behavior highlights an area in need of healing. I do this all the time to my chaser, and I don't even realize I'm doing it, confessed one runner in our support group. Sometimes the connection and the roller coaster of emotions are just too intense. My personal recourse is to lash out at him for the sins of my father, that wound of abandonment and rejection that fills me with fear. This raw honesty reveals the unconscious nature of the mirroring process. Both twins are often unaware that they are participating in this divine dance of reflection. The beauty of this mirroring effect lies in its transformative power. When your twin flame acts in a way that provokes you, it is actually illuminating your path to healing. It is as if you have been given a cosmic flashlight, and whether you realize it or not, you are shining it directly on the shadows you need to face. Remember that this reflection has nothing to do with blaming or judging, but with growing and awakening. Every time your twin's behavior makes you feel unworthy, abandoned, or rejected, it is actually helping you identify where you need to pour more love into yourself. Their apparent lack of respect becomes a catalyst for your own self-discovery and healing. As one spiritual teacher so aptly put it, the twin flame connection is not about finding your perfect partner. It is about finding your perfect mirror. From this point of view, even your twin's most challenging behaviors can be seen as sacred teachings, guiding you toward deeper self-knowledge and unconditional love. The next time your twin flame's behavior strikes you as disrespectful, pause and ask yourself, what part of me is being reflected back to heal? This simple shift in perspective can transform your seemingly harsh actions into powerful opportunities for growth and transformation. Imagine standing under a cascade of pure light. Beautiful, powerful, and totally overwhelming. That's what twin flame runners experience when the intensity of the connection becomes too intense to process. It's as if their spiritual circuit breaker trips because the voltage of love is too high. You know those moments when you're in a room full of people and suddenly you feel like you can't breathe? That's the daily reality for many runners who face the overwhelming energy of the twin flame connection. One runner opened up about it. Sometimes the connection and roller coaster of emotions are too intense, and we need a break from the chaos. Please don't take it personally, we just don't understand. We are trying to navigate the 3D world and understand the whole twin flame awakening, plus the trauma we are trying to cope with. Think about it. We live in a world where most people can barely handle normal relationships, let alone a connection that operates in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The runner isn't just processing his own emotions, he's experiencing a cosmic download of shared energy, past life memories, and a spiritual awakening all at once. It's like trying to drink from a hose of divine love. Even with the purest intentions, it can seem like you're drowning. I remember working with one who described his experience as a runner. It's like someone turned up the volume on all the sensations and emotions to the max. Love is overwhelming, yes, but so is fear, doubt, uncertainty. Sometimes I have to walk away just to remember who I am. This raw honesty reveals the profound struggle the runners face. They are not running from love, but from the intensity of their own transformation. The overwhelm manifests itself in various ways: sudden withdrawals, emotional outbursts, or total disconnection. It's as if their spiritual system is going through a major upgrade, and just as their phone needs a reboot during an upgrade, runners need their space to integrate these powerful energies. One runner described it well: we live in a three-dimensional world where crazy things happen to us that we can't explain. My twin gets very angry when I energetically separate from him, and sometimes I don't even know what I've done wrong. This is the truth that many chasers have a hard time accepting. When runners withdraw due to overwhelm, they are actually practicing a form of spiritual self-preservation. It's not rejection, it's protection. Protection not only for themselves, but also for their twin flame. For just as a transformer needs to regulate the electrical current to avoid overloading the system, runners instinctively create space when the energetic connection becomes too intense. Remember that this journey is not about maintaining a constant connection, but about learning to dance with the divine rhythm of union and separation, intensity and peace, connection and space. The overwhelm your runner experiences is actually a sacred part of their awakening process, teaching both twins about boundaries, respect, and the delicate balance of spiritual energy exchange. Have you ever seen a mother bird pushing her young out of the nest. At first glance, it seems cruel, but it is actually one of the purest expressions of love, helping them find their wings. This paradoxical dynamic perfectly mirrors what happens when twin flame runners push their pursuers in ways that seem disrespectful. When runners act in a way that seems disrespectful or harsh, they are often acting from a deeply protective instinct, not only for themselves, but also, surprisingly, for their twin flame. One runner was candid about this. I told her to go out with others, to look for someone who would make her happy. I can't make you happy. You deserve better than me. I wanted to push her away because it was easier for her to choose to separate than for me to separate from her. Imagine someone who knows he is a carrier of a highly contagious disease. He may act cold or push people away, not because he doesn't care, but precisely because he cares too much to risk harming others. Twin flame runners often feel this way about their own unhealed wounds and traumas. They believe they are toxic, unworthy, or otherwise dangerous to their twins' well-being. The paradox of protection manifests itself in various ways, with harsh words that actually mean, I love you too much to hurt you, with the ghost whispering, I need to heal before I can be what you deserve, or by pushing their twin toward others while secretly hoping they will stay. It's as if they perform a painful magic trick. They make their love disappear, not because they want it to disappear, but because they believe its presence might be too destructive. One runner described it beautifully. I hate it when he's sad. I think sometimes I walk away because I don't want to hurt her. I know I disappoint her, and I don't want that. I need certain things in my life so I can support her and make her happy. But mostly, it's about loving and accepting myself before I can give it to her. This paradox of protection reveals something extraordinary about the journey of the twin flame. Sometimes the most loving act can seem like rejection on the surface. Just as a diamond must endure intense pressure to reach its brilliant potential, sometimes a runner's apparent disrespect is actually the pressure necessary for both twins to reach their highest evolution. Remember, when your twin flame pushes you away with seemingly disrespectful behavior, he may actually be trying to protect you both from what he perceives as his own destructive potential. It is a misguided form of love, but love nonetheless, like a child who hides his favorite toy to keep it safe, not realizing that its purpose is to play with him. Well, deciphering the complex dynamics of the relationship between twin flames running and chasing each other isn't easy, especially when disrespectful behaviors come into play. But you know what? Understanding these patterns can be incredibly empowering for both parties involved. What seems like disrespect often hides a deep spiritual process of growth and healing. Think about it. Every seemingly harsh word or derogatory action from a runner is actually an opportunity for both twins to address their deepest wounds and evolve toward their highest selves. You may be asking yourself, so what do I do with all this information? Well, here's the empowering part. Understanding these dynamics allows you to respond from a place of wisdom rather than reaction. Instead of taking the runner's behavior personally, You can see it as part of the divine dance of the union of twin flames. The key is not to excuse the disrespectful behavior, but to understand it in the larger context of your shared spiritual journey. If you maintain your own boundaries while allowing space for your growth and your twins' evolution, you create the conditions for authentic healing and ultimate union. After all, isn't that what the twin flame journey is all about? It's not about perfect behavior or immediate harmony, but about two souls learning to navigate back to love, even in the most complicated and challenging circumstances. Each difficult moment leads you both toward greater awareness, healing, and ultimately toward the divine union you are destined to share. Stay true to your heart, maintain healthy boundaries, and trust in the divine timing of your connection. The journey of your twin flame is not about perfection, but about progress, growth, and the courage to keep choosing love, even when it is difficult.